I'm Claire Lim, aka Wee Claire. This is Gilbert the Chicken. He's going to be joining us for the interview as well. And I'm going to bring on the lovely, the amazing, and super, super talented Mr. David Harbour.
What's up, London? I have to bring all my drinks, and I brought my backpack. What's wrong with me? Oh my God.
Your bag's not as interesting as my bag, no offense, but it's not shaped like a chicken or a frog or anything, but it's a lovely bag. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm glad you brought all the liquids.
Yeah, I need lots of liquids. I need to stay hydrated.
Yeah, I go the opposite. I'm like, when I'm doing this, I'm like I know.
We've got some water for you. This is gonna be good.
I know. Just running to the toilet in a jumpsuit is just not the best idea.
Yeah,
but anyway, welcome to MCM.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Second panel, last day. Mm-hmm. How was yesterday?
It was good. It was really fun. Anybody here yesterday? Was that?
A few, yeah.
Oh, good. So I can say only a few of you. So I can say the same jokes, and it'll be a whole new vibe.
Cool. So I wanted to ask, when you're doing these movie junkets and TV junkets, it's a totally different vibe. You're just sitting in a little room, sweating away, getting asked the same questions over and over again. How does it feel to actually be amongst your people?
I mean, this is much more what I prefer.
Yeah.
Those press junkets. I don't know if any of you guys watch those things. It's so surreal doing these things. Do you guys watch these things that come up where they interview actors and they have like a poster behind them of like the movie and they'll be saying something really boring? That usually happens because they put you in a hotel room for 12 hours and they just have reporters come in one after the other, and for 5 minutes they just ask you the same question over and over again, and you have some clip. And I don't know where this stuff goes. It must go out on the internet somewhere, right?
Yeah, I've been at those junkets on that side doing the interviews, and I hate it because you go in and I'm like, what the hell am I going to get out of someone for 5 minutes? You can see you've been there for 5 hours, kill
glazed
yourself.
over and weird. This is much different, though. This is really nice. Like, people are, these are like real fans and like real people, and I like real fans and I like real people.
And we can actually have a chat that's not like, so tell us about the movie, bye.
Yeah, exactly. A little more of a long form. And hopefully some people will get up and ask some like fan questions later, of which I can probably give you no information, but it's cool to have those questions asked.
Now, there will be fan questions at the end, about 15 odd minutes, and I will tell you when to rush up to the mics. Okay, I'm going to be playing a little game with you before it ends, and that's when people can...
Oh, cool.
Don't worry, nothing scary. Nothing scary.
Awesome.
So let me talk about Stranger Things first, okay?
Yes.
When you started that journey, did you have a feeling for how beloved that show would become?
No.
Like, what
I had the opposite feeling.
Oh, really? What
I
were
felt like it
first
would be a
thoughts?
disaster. It would be the first show that Netflix produced that didn't have a second season, and that I would never work again.
Really?
Yeah. I thought I was awful. And about 4 episodes in, I remember, because whatever, like, he's a little beat up in the show, and I myself am a little beat up, and we just decided to let me be beat up in the show. And I remember, like, in episode 4, we were shooting, and my makeup artist, I was like, how was that? Like, how was that take? And she was like, yeah, I don't think it's gonna work. And I was like, what do you mean it's not gonna work? The whole thing? She was like, yeah, I don't know if it's gonna work. And I was like, oh my God.
Episode 4?
Why, because I look so awful? And she was like, yeah, kind of.
She did not.
Well, we had just gone for this look where he was like really busted. And I think like halfway through we started to second guess the whole thing. And I think when you're shooting something, you're constantly kind of in this bubble shooting, and you don't really know if things are working, and occasionally you step out and you go like, I don't know if any of this works. And so that's primarily and then when the show came around, there was very little advertising, and we thought that maybe Netflix didn't like it and they weren't promoting it, and then, and so we had no expectations. And then the show came out, and it really became this like word of mouth thing where fans really embraced it and told their friends, and they weren't like hyped about it. They just sort of like discovered it. And that was the most gratifying thing about the show, is that it wasn't put down your throat in the first season, at least. I mean, I think we're starting to, force it down with hype and stuff. But the first season, it was not that way. It was just this thing that people discovered sort of on the down low, and that was really cool.
I think there's a kind of, I was thinking about this in the popularity of Stranger Things, and I think there's a real thirst for that 80s nostalgia. You've got Mandy, I don't know if you've seen Mandy, and that's quite like a sort of 80s-esque sort of horror.
That's that Nick Cage movie?
Yeah.
Oh, I love that movie.
It's so
I love
good.
That movie.
If you got, I mean, not...
Have you guys seen this movie, Mandy?
Mandy?
It's a crazy kind of slasher horror movie
Mental.
with Nick Cage and Andrew Riseborough, but it's really kind of amazing.
It's really amazing. But there's some 80s-esque tones to that. We've got Drive, It Follows, harks back to that. And then you've got Ready Player One, which is the big blockbuster-style nostalgia fest. So why do you think this thirst for that 80s nostalgia is coming back?
I mean, I think there's a couple different levels. There was like a bit of a slower storytelling that I feel like we've pushed it to such short attention span stuff that sometimes I feel quite overwhelmed by movies now, where the pacing is so quick. And I think that in these more nostalgic stuff, they take a little more time with the pacing, which I like.
Yeah.
And it was a simpler time. Like, I think times before cell phones and before like recording everything,
Good times.
there was more chance to get lost, I think, in the world, and more chance to be secret and be weird. And I think
obsessive.
nowadays everybody's being watched so much that I feel like it's nice to go back to that era where we were more sort of alone.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, I feel exactly the same way. Now, I saw a picture the other day on the Das Internet, and it was a Stranger Things Lego set.
Yeah,
I think we've got a Lego designer in the audience as well. I can see you right there at the end.
Are you the Lego designer of the Stranger Things thing?
Not of Stranger Things.
Not of Stranger Things.
So that
Get out.
reminded me. Are you? No.
Wow, that's cool. No, I saw it. It's amazing. It's got like all the characters and everything, and it's huge.
How did you feel being a Lego piece?
I feel weird about it. I mean, the funny thing is, to be honest, though, like people ask me that question a lot because I have there's like a bunch of Funko Pop figurines of Hopper, and there's like those like other figures and all these different figures, and people are always like, "What's it like to have an action figure of you?" But I have no association with it. I actually don't. It's not me. It's like Hopper, and I think that I enjoy it and enjoy him as much as any other fan, and I don't associate. I play him, but I don't associate myself with him.
No.
Like, I think he's a lot cooler than me and like a lot more interesting in certain ways. And so it's almost like I have very little, I don't see it as me. I see it more as the character.
Now, I want to ask just generally about being an actor and your process. You've starred, obviously, Stranger Things or Hellboy, which we'll get on to shortly, but you've starred in many other different films where you play some quite hefty roles. Was there ever a time when you were kind of going through your career thinking, I just can't do this? Is there a point when you're an actor where you're like, this is too hard?
Yeah, I'm at that point right now.
I was actually
just talking to my friend. I'm working on a movie right now, which is gonna be great, but it's really it's really complicated, and it's very sometimes you're asked to sort of do these things or go to these places that can be very complicated, and more than just for me, because when I was alone I could be just a weirdo, but it's more for the people around you that like my partner or my friends. It's like I kind of got to go into a weird space and be a little, just feel these things, and I have to be protective of me going to that place. Mm-hmm. So it's actually kind of harder on the people around me in a weird way. It's not that fun to be around me when I'm working, unfortunately.
I can imagine.
but we have a nice vacation afterwards, and it gets better. But it's you do have to go to some places that are pretty intense, and it's ultimately why I got into it, and it's what I love about it to a certain degree. But as you go along, like anything in life, you sort of want to just kind of your life to be easier, I guess, and so it gets kind of harder to do that. It's
a nice little segue, the intense place, because I read that you you go into this intense zone. I was reading about that. So I'm calling it the Harbour zone, right? Well, it's your Harbour zone where you harbour the intenseness. So I wanted to ask you, what does the Harbour zone look like? What does it smell like? What does it feel like?
It smells terrible.
Oh, does it?
Oh my God, it smells like.
I'm imagining it smells damp. We're in a dark place, so it smells damp.
It smells like old sneakers
Socks.
and like the Harbour zone. Oh my God. No, I mean, I guess the Harbour zone is just like a lot of brooding, a lot of like, you know, the funny thing about working on a character is that like there's a great play called Red, which is about the painter Mark Rothko. And in the play, he's working on a painting, and it's a big old blank canvas, and his assistant, he's looking at it, and his assistant says, "When are you going to start painting?" And he goes, "I am painting." And so like there's something about just sitting in a room for hours and hours alone with no stimulation as you begin to work on a character that is like acting, and it's the very unromantic part of acting. But that to me is sort of the zone, is like you have to do all this relaxation, this preparation, a lot of this thought, a lot of this sort of sensory work, and it's just very, you know, it's just not that fun to be around. It's not that fun to look at.
And it smells bad.
And it smells bad. Yeah, it's the awful Harbour zone.
So if you want to get in touch with your inner Harbour zone, then that's where you need to go. You need to go to your damp, brooding place.
Yeah, damp.
That sounds
old
weird.
sneakers.
Sorry, I've taken it down a weird line now.
It's all right. It's all right.
We're in the Harbour zone. We can't get out.
We're in the Harbour zone. It's gonna get weird.
So tell me, I mentioned you've starred in some weighty films, you've played some intense characters. Is there a genre or a type of film that you really want to get your teeth stuck into that shows a completely different side?
I mean, I've started to do like, you know, the funny thing about Stranger Things is it allows me to do a lot of different things. Like I think the first season was very dark. For Harbour, the second season was a little more, you know, sort of like it had this whole father journey, this whole paternal journey. And I think in season 3, I get to do a lot of like fun stuff. Like he gets to be sort of funnier. So I'm, like Stranger Things is allowing me to play a lot of these kind of character traits that I want to play. And in general, I just like good stories, and I like good stories, and I just want to keep telling good stories. I mean, as I say, this new film that I'm working on now is really challenging me in many different ways, in great ways, and I can't say that there's any particular. I also have something coming out on Netflix that I shot with my friends that I'll talk about later. It's going to come out after Stranger Things, but it's called Frankenstein's Monster's Monster, Frankenstein, and it's kind of a comedic thing about. And it's kind of about me as an actor, which has allowed me to do some like wacky stuff. But I like all different kinds of genres.
Cool. So we're not going to see you in a rom-com anytime soon, are we? I can't imagine it. Maybe like an intense Harbour Zone-esque. I'm imagining.
I don't have any plans. No, not any plans.
Rom-com noir with.
Well,
with
we'll see. We'll see. You haven't seen season 3 yet.
Okay. Okay. All right. I'm expecting big things. So tell me, have we got any Hellboy fans in the house? Come on. I was like, oh God, that's like delayed reaction. Yes, we do. So let's talk about Hellboy.
Okay.
Right. What attracted you to this role?
I really liked the comics, and I really liked these Mike Mignola Dark Horse comics. That style is so beautiful. I think Mike's mythology and his universe is so cool and so unique. And Mike had wanted to do a different sort of version than Guillermo and Ron had done, which was sort of more darker in tone and darker in color. And so that was very interesting to me too.
Okay. And so tell me, because Ron Perlman had played the role before, when you came to it, were you like, right, I'm going to rewrite this in my head myself? How did you approach it to make it different, to make it your own?
I mean, there's something where you're playing a lineage of characters, so you have to acknowledge what, and what's come before, and so there's part of that is the character, I feel. And then there was something where we just tried to do something different, where the makeup was very different. He was sort of a younger Hellboy, more angsty kind of in a certain way, more unsure about his place in the world, unsure about whether or not he was a good or a bad guy to a certain degree. But it was yeah. In that way, you're sort of a lineage, but you're also trying to do your own thing, and so yeah, that was sort of the approach.
So I read that you called Hellboy fans die-hard weirdos in a nice way.
Yeah.
And you say so many nice things about these die-hard weirdos, because I think we're all die-hard weirdos of something at some point.
Yeah, I am, yeah.
So tell me, what are you a die-hard weirdo for?
Oh man, I can't tell you, I'd have to kill you.
You'd have to kill all of them.
I mean, you know, I love all this stuff too. I mean, I certainly love the Hellboy and the Dark Horse comic stuff. But I guess I've been like a real movie buff, like all growing up, and I certainly love like the big genre films, which to me were like these Spielberg and George Lucas, and you know, even Coppola and like Brian De Palma, like these big sort of 80s transitional genre films. Like I'm a big weirdo about those films, like, you know, Indiana Jones and things like that.
You're so good, because you're segueing me every single time.
Wow, look at this.
Speaking of indie, I read that you had watched Indiana Jones in the cinema like 13 times or something. Is that true?
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I went to the theater and watched it 13 times when I think it came out when I was 6 or 7, and I went to the theater 13 times. But that was only because my grandma would take me. I'd go visit my grandma, and she would take me to the theater, and we'd watch it because she liked the air conditioning. Right. And so she would fall asleep in the great air conditioning, and I would just like freak out. I always liked the part with the snakes. Like that was my favorite part, because I really dug snakes too. So
I love Indiana Jones, and then I don't know. I mean, I'm amongst all the geeks, and I love the geeks. I'm a geek, but I like it a bit more than Star Wars and stuff like that. I love Indiana
Jones, yeah.
Yeah, like I love it. Would you, if
you don't have to choose either one? You can
I
like
know,
them
I
both.
can like
you
them
don't
both.
have to like.
Sometimes
We're not sending you to a desert island, and you only have one. You can watch them both.
Sometimes you say things like that, I'm like, it's okay, like I'm sorry. But if somebody came along to you about Indiana Jones, we're doing it again, and you're the man to play the role, would you take that role?
No way.
Really?
No way. I am done doing reboots completely. I mean, you know, one of the interesting things about Hellboy, while it was really fun and really interesting, I realized that there are certain characters and certain things that people are very attached to.
Yes.
And I think that, you know, there's an interesting story about Steven Spielberg, where he got to a place in his career where he had a movie that tanked, and he approached James Bond, the producers of James Bond, the Broccolis, and he really wanted to do a James Bond movie, and they didn't want him to do it. And he went on to do Indiana Jones because he wanted to make a James Bond movie.
Right.
And so for me, there's a lot of new stories that I think that we can tell more effectively than this sort of reboot idea. Whereas like, so if you wanted to do Indiana Jones again, there's got to be some new version of a character that is that, as opposed to going back, because I don't know. Kind of one of the interesting things about Stranger Things is, like, in a sense, it's the anti-reboot. Like, if you reboot Ghostbusters, you do the same characters, you do the same title, but you're updating it. Whereas Stranger Things does all original characters, all original stories, but they use the alphabet of what we loved in the 80s. Yeah. And so, but they create new sentences. So in a way, if you wanted to do Indiana Jones, to me, the reboot would be you do a different character, but you use the alphabet that Spielberg created, which was this feeling of adventure and these ways of shooting and this thing that those guys are masters at. You sort of imitate those things, but the actual content you have to change. That's sort of where I've come to now.
No, I completely agree. I mean, I end up watching all of it anyway, but I much prefer original content.
Yeah.
And thinking about, like, you know, now we've got these huge franchises, with Transformers, we've got Star Wars, Marvel, DC. And people take it so bloody seriously. And when I was younger, I would watch like I like Demolition Man, Predator, like that, those were my films, True Lies, all that kind of 80s, 90s schlocky muscle stuff.
Yeah.
And I just liked them, and I was like, that's fun, move on. Now people are like, actually,
yeah,
you know,
there's a big,
it's a wee bit like, come on, mate. Like, it's, do you find that people are just
there is. I mean, there's a
everything
funny
now?
thing too now where I like. Actually, to me, the weirdest thing that I've seen transition, and I don't know how you guys feel about this, but like when I was growing up, because I'm ancient, when I was a kid, like we didn't know how much movies made at the box office.
Nope.
Like I don't think I was aware of like I was just like into like a movie because
it was
fun. Like a weird movie and I liked it.
Yep.
But like this idea that like everybody knows like what's the most popular or something is to me, I think it sort of is the same thing about that Instagram thing, like all the likes, and there's kind of a hive mind thing that happens where it's like likes beget likes beget likes beget likes.
Yeah.
And I think it's somewhat dangerous because like I think the weirdness of people and people liking things that are counter to what everybody likes is fun, and I don't know that that's as wildly embraced nowadays, but I know that like, and I think that's like a corporate structure thing. Like I think corporations have sort of led us to this McDonald's road where it's like you only want this cheeseburger, and it wasn't like that when I was a kid.
No.
So that is a weird kind of attachment that I don't particularly love. I mean, the nerding out over things though, and the like really fetishizing like little aspects of something, like I'm into that.
Yeah.
Like, cause I do that myself.
Yeah.
So yeah, there you go. All right. So all you weird fetishists who have to be like, actually in episode 4, like all those things, like that's
fine.
cool.
If it's the numbers game, I totally. I mean, when you're talking about the corporations thing, that's a whole other interview that we should maybe save for another time, because I totally agree, but it sucks that fun and joy and creativity.
Yeah, I just think the world has got like the worlds themselves have gotten too. There's just too much money.
Yeah.
And I feel like anytime you have a lot of money, a lot of business people get involved, and they need to secure their investments.
Yeah.
And so things start to change, and it's a change where I feel like we're sort of at a swing now, and maybe it'll go in a different direction, but we'll have to see. But it is something that's sort of the aspect of it that concerns me.
So you mentioned the social media and the likes and things like that. Sort of a segue. I'm going to call you Mr. Segue now.
Please.
I love it. Hi, Mr. Segue. Your social media interactions are quite fun. Like, you're actually really good on social media.
Oh, thanks.
And you even officiated a fan's wedding.
I did.
So what are the kind of weirder requests that you wouldn't do, keeping it clean?
That I wouldn't do?
Yeah.
I mean, I had one yesterday at this panel, and somebody asked me if I would be their dad.
Oh.
And unfortunately,
It was a kid,
impossible for me to do that. It was actually very, very sweet.
Okay.
But no, I mean, whatever. Like, it's super fun that people love the show and they like get so excited about it. So when I can do something that's wildly inconvenient for my life, like once or twice a year, I occasionally like to. I like to choose things that will like really annoy me. Like the wedding was in Springfield, Illinois, or something, which is kind of hard to get to. Like you have to fly into where you have to fly into some town, but then you got to drive like 2 hours. It was difficult to do, and I had to get my costume there and everything. So the more annoyance I feel, the kind of greater the joy.
Cool. Yeah, Mr. Payne.
Yeah. Well, there's something like
Yes,
apparently this is something in like I just went to India, and there's something in Indian culture where there's a word for it or something where like you have to go out of your way to help someone, and it ruins your whole day, but it makes you happy because you ruined your whole day. So if anyone knows the Hindi word for that, please come up to me afterwards. But apparently there is something in India that like means that.
Oh, like a positive inconvenience.
Exactly.
Like
exactly.
Inconvenience.
Yeah. There you go. All right, I'll take it.
That's my own word for that. So I'm gonna ask another question, then we're gonna play a short game.
Okay.
So while I'm doing that, if you guys want to take the mics, if you've got any questions for David, don't be shy. Get up now and start queuing. I mean, this side of the room is always way more positive than this side. Come on, left side of the room. Every panel I've done, that's more like it. Okay, so I'm going to ask one more question and we'll play this game. So some actors, let's talk about social media. You and other actors might use social media to connect to fans.
Yeah, yeah.
Get to maybe do this
Yeah, absolutely.
every day. But do you think it's a necessary requirement now as an actor to be on social media and to have a big following and all
I
that?
don't actually. I think that there was a TED Talk on this actually. The funny trick about the world, and two, if you want to be in this business or act or anything, technical skill is much more important than popularity. There's tons of people in the world that have huge Instagram followers that don't have technical skill as actors.
And it shows.
It's a burnout thing. Like, your brand is one thing, but it's not as important as how good of an artist you are. I also believe that it will never be. It will never be.
Yep.
So if you have 3 Instagram followers and you're a really great actor or actress, I will want to watch you.
There you go. So now we're going to play a short game, and then we're going to take it to 4. So just short, don't
Let's
even
do
think
it.
about it. I'm just going to,
Oh my God, go.
it's called Hell Yes or Hell No.
Got it.
Okay, so you got it, right? Okay, your thoughts on pouring your milk into the bowl before the cereal?
Oh, hell no.
Okay, if you could, would you travel to the future and see how your life ends up?
Hell yes.
Oh, you would? Okay. Do you read every review of every movie you've starred in?
Hell no.
Become a demon forever if it meant removing one evil person from existence?
Wait, sorry, do that one again?
Would you become a demon forever if it meant removing one evil person from existence?
Hell no.
Are you happy with your dad bod status?
Hell yes.
Yes!
Big boys and girls, love yourselves.
Yes.
It's a good thing. Live your life. Eat a sandwich.
Hashtag dad bod for everyone. If a superhero...
Oh, by the way, wait till you see season 3. Hopper is fatter than ever. Yes.
More sandwiches. If a superhero role came along, would you take it?
If a what?
Superhero role came along, like a superhero. Would you take the role? Of
Well, I'm doing this Black Widow movie now, so I might be a superhero in that. Who knows?
Okay.
I might just be a dude with a bad hairline, though.
With a great dad bod.
You never know. You never know.
As long as there's no spandex, it's all good. Have you ever felt like running away?
Running away?
Yep.
Hell yes.
Okay. Have you ever been in a band?
Hell no.
Okay. And finally, have you worked with someone you've had a crush on or used to have a crush on?
Hell yes.
And who?
Her name's Winona Ryder. Okay. On to the fan questions.
I mean, the man's got taste, and he's got the greatest dad bod ever, so hey. Now, let's start with, now you guys were really enthusiastic, and you guys were a little slower, so we're going to go with the slower side first, and then we'll come over. Sorry, I'm doing it reverse. Okay, lovely lady here with the white t-shirt, go for it.
Hi, David.
Hey.
I want to say, you're an inspiration for me. I'm really insecure of myself, and look at me. I'm here.
Yay. Congratulations.
So, my question is about your book. You said that you're writing a book, so I want to know what it's about, or...
Thank you. Yeah. Thanks for bringing it up. I am writing a book. Mainly, it's going to be about my struggles with mental illness, or what the culture defines as mental illness. I think it's a very complicated subject, and I myself has had a lot of experiences with people. A very complicated life around that, and so my book hopefully will be, to show people that I've been through very difficult times, and that I think it's okay to go through these difficult times, and I think that a lot of what we brand as mental illness is simply just being a human being and being in this confusing experience of being a human being, and hopefully, it'll bring about some kind of, my thrust is always to bring about a world where we're much more interested in each other and in empathy as opposed to profits and being productive. So, it's kind of a book about being a human being.
Thank you, that's a good question. Yep, thank you, David. Okay, next one.
Hi, David.
Hi.
If you can describe Stranger Things, the new season, in one word, what would it be?
Oh, man. One word.
Maybe you can shout to us. One word.
Like moving.
Oh. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thanks for the question.
Okay, lady over here.
Really a proper question, but because I'm 11, will you do the Chief Hopper dad dance with me?
With you?
Yeah.
All right, I'll do it with you, but you have to come do it with me. Come here. Come on, show me what you got. Let's do it. Yeah, this is music.
Thank you. That was spectacular, especially from this angle. I was like, this is great. Okay, next over here.
Hello.
Hey.
Hi. How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good, thank you. Do you catch up on any sort of Stranger Things fan theories? And if you do, what's the weirdest one you've ever heard?
That's a good question. I try to find stuff. I'm not good at like combing the internet though, but there was one a couple years ago that was so funny to me because it was a theory about, we had announced that the season was coming out in Halloween, and I think we announced it in like January, and this person was clearly furious that they had to wait 10 months for the next season of Stranger Things, and so they concocted a huge theory based on numbers and based on images in the trailer that it was actually coming out in March, and we were lying to them. And unfortunately, that fan theory proved to be untrue. But that was kind of the craziest ones I saw.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good question.
Okay, over to this lovely lady here.
Hi.
Hi.
If Stranger Things were actually filmed in the 80s and you could play any of the 4 boys, who would you play?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think I'd want, the boy that I relate most to is Noah's character, Will.
Yeah.
I looked just like him when I was that age, and I was the nerdy kid with the bowl cut who wanted to play D&D, and all my friends thought I was a geek. So I guess I'd want to play Will Byers.
Oh, that's cool. Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, next we're over here. This lady here.
Hi, David.
Hey.
I'm a massive fan of the newsroom, and I was just wondering, do you think that by now Elliot would take Will McAvoy's job? And also, would you be interested in doing a revisit of it if they ever decided to bring it back?
Yeah, I would be interested in that. The thing that I loved about Elliot that they didn't, I don't know if any of you watched the newsroom, but it was a very serious show by Aaron Sorkin about all this integrity in journalism. Like Will McAvoy was this like great, anchor man who was like really wanted to tell the truth and the story and stuff. And I always liked Elliot because I think that although Aaron wouldn't really let me do this in the show, but I kept trying to push for it, was like I thought Elliot was more the guy who was really interested in how he looked on camera. Like he was like the guy who was kind of texting under his desk during the news thing and being like, how's this shot? Is this a good angle for me? So I would be interested in doing it again as long as we could make Elliot like much more superficial than he was in the previous seasons.
Thank you. Okay, sir, take it away.
Hi, David.
Hey.
In Stranger Things, Harbour says mornings are for coffee and contemplation. Is there something that you do every morning?
Yeah, I roll out of bed and I'm annoyed, and then I usually get coffee. Yeah,
Coffee and contemplation.
Yeah, coffee. There's not much contemplation, but a lot of coffee.
Thank you. Okay, go for it.
Hi, if you could bring back any character from any season of Stranger Things, who would you bring back and why?
I wouldn't bring back Bob at all, even though he's adorable. But it doesn't serve my interest as a character. I'd bring back Benny. Do you remember Benny?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd bring back Benny. I love Benny.
Oh,
But he's on that This Is Us show now.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good question. Okay, over here.
Okay, is there going to be, I'm cool.
Channel the Harbour Zone. You can do it.
Is there going to be any Joppa scenes in season 3?
Oh, man. Hell yes. I mean, look, there's a lot of Hopper-Joyce interaction, and it's very cool because we wanted it. And I think some you guys have wanted it, but I will say this, it will very much surprise you. As much as you know, there's a ton of stuff there, and it's really cool.
Thank you. Thank you. Next, please.
What was the most awkward thing that happened on the Stranger Things set?
There was a moment like this past season where, I can't tell you about it, but like early on in the season, I have a scene, and I have this one line that I just thought was the funniest thing I'd ever read in my life. And I'm very serious on this set. I take myself pretty damn seriously. I mean, I take my work pretty seriously. And so I show up, and I couldn't get this line out. And so, I kid you not, for about an hour, we were trying to get me to just say this line, and I kept going like, okay, I got it. No, I got it. And then I would just burst out laughing, and the duffers were laughing behind the monitor, and the camera ops, and everybody just dissolved. And there was a child, because it was a scene with one of the kids, and it was like, I don't want to tell you which one, but there was a scene with one of these kids who's like 13 years old, and the kid was like, you got this, Dave, you got this. And I was like, I'm a 40-year-old man. Like, I should not be having a child tell me that I got this.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good question.
We all need reassurance sometimes. Okay, go for it.
Hi.
Hey.
So if there was a season 4, who would you most want more scenes with?
If there was a season 4, and if Hopper were to be in it, I would want more scenes with Joe Keery. I love Steve, and I think the Steve Hopper interaction can be quite hilarious.
Thank you. Okay, sir.
Hi.
Oh, hey.
Hi. In season 3, are we going to see more of a paternal relationship and bond between your character and Eleven?
I'm sorry, what about it?
A paternal bond.
There is, yeah.
Relationship. Are we going to see more of it in?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, the season starts out with like Eleven's becoming a woman, like she's discovering boys, and Hopper has a real problem with this because Hopper is a throwback dad who has real problems with, his little girl being with a boy. So that story courses through the season, and it's quite interesting. It's quite moving to see where it goes. I mean, one of the really cool things about watching the season, because I watched a couple episodes that they put together, is that these kids are growing up in real time. And you look at Finn Wolfhard in the first season, and then you see him in this season, and it's just quite moving to watch people grow up and to think about them changing. And so that's happening before our eyes, and it's written into the show beautifully.
Thank you. Okay, lovely. Off you go.
Hi. Have you had a cheeky Nando's yet?
Have I had what?
A cheeky Nando's.
Have you had a cheeky Nando's?
Cheeky Nando's?
Do you know what a cheeky Nando's is? Do you want to explain what a cheeky Nando's is?
Oh, yeah. So Nando's is like a restaurant, and you go in and you order, get a half or quarter chicken with 2 sides, and it's lovely.
I thought it was like a wedgie or something. Like, have you had a cheeky Nando's?
Oh, I've had a cheeky
like
Nando's.
where they like grab you and pull your underpants up. No, oh wow, I gotta go have a cheeky Nando's. Thank you.
Thank you, thanks. Oh, I'm hungry. That's a good. And Nando's gets a round of applause every time. Okay, over here, please.
Would you ever be willing to play Doctor Who or a companion of Doctor Who?
I mean, that seems to be something where they change and stuff, but I don't know that I don't know. It might have to just be original characters for me at this point, but maybe a companion or like maybe a villain, something like that.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah,
Thanks.
good question, though.
Okay, over here, please.
Hi. Oh my gosh.
Hey. You look great.
It's all good.
Yeah, come on. You're super handsome. Look at you.
Stand up tall.
Look at you. You're a good-looking kid. Come on. Oh, come on. Don't be embarrassed. It's good. We're good.
Who was the most annoying person you had to work with on set?
Oh, after all that. Sit back down.
Joe Keery. Steve. That's why I love him so much. For real, the most annoying person I've ever had to work with? Like ever in my career? Like ever?
Sure.
Yeah, there are stories I could tell, but I won't tell you them because these people aren't dead yet.
Thank
But
you.
when they die, I'm gonna write you a letter. And I got 3 people in mind right now who are super annoying.
That is the first question I'm asking when we go back there. Seriously. Thank you very much for your question. Okay, next, please.
Hi, I was actually a massive fan of your Hellboy film.
Thank you. Hey, thank you. Hey. Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah, I enjoyed both yours and Ron Perlman.
Thank you. There you go. Yes, we can do this. Yes.
I was just wondering, what was it like wearing the fist, and what was it like going to the bathroom with it?
The whole apparatus was very difficult to go to the bathroom in. But yeah, the fist, luckily, like it would come on and off. It was very difficult though because it extended beyond my arm, so the fingers had to be puppeteered. I had like hooks with ropes in them, so it ended about here. So the hand wasn't very functional at all. So I would try to pick up things, and they would just fall out of my hands in a very like vaudevillian way.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks, man.
Last but not least, go for it.
Okay, what direction do you think, do you see the Black Widow movie going in?
What direction?
Yeah.
What direction do I see it going in?
Mm.
Do I see it going in? I know where it's going in. I'll just tell you this, like, the script is great, and this director, Kate Shortland, I cannot say enough good things about. It has everything that you love about these Marvel movies. Like, there's a reason why these guys are the best in the world. Guys and girls are the best in the world at what they do. It's just that they know how to give you this action that's like extraordinary, these characters that are very moving and funny, and it has all these moments. But Kate also brings a special thing to it, where Kate Shortland she's a real indie director, and she really cares about character and about story. So there's a depth that I'm already finding as we rehearse. There's a depth to this movie that is going to be really, really beautiful if we can pull it off and we don't screw it up. But yeah, I think it's going to be quite an amazing movie. I've rarely been so impressed with the director as I am with Kate. She's quite something.
Thank you for your question. Now, that's all. You guys have been great. Now, I feel like I'm in the Harbour zone now.
You smell bad and you're being
actually,
weird.
it smells good. From where I'm sitting, it smells fine. There's no dampness, no bad stinky socks. I'm fine. Are you all in the Harbour zone now? They're like, are you in the Harbour zone? Yes, yes. David, you have been an absolute pleasure, and the joy I'm saying, hell yes.
You as well, thank you.
Hell yes. Everyone, the wonderful David Harbour.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.